Our flight to Spain was in 10 days, which gave me a shocking problem. There were still 12 moving boxes. 12 moving boxes filled with 350 items, and I didn't want to store and I didn't want to pack to Spain. So I brought them to a flea market. And I pulled out a porcelain plate from my mom. I priced it at 10 euros, but no one was interested. Finally, someone bought it for 1 euro. And that was the moment I realized the market doesn't care about your sentimentals or your stories, it only cares about its own logic. And that logic hit me hard. Those 12 boxes held a monument to years of impulse buy. 350 things I never used. A sushi set from Singapore that was still in this rubber wrap that I never used, 4 identical phone cases, a stack of university textbooks perfectly highlighted. And I had an idea in my head what I want to charge per item. And my first thought was, if I price it at what it once cost, I'll recover thousands of euros. But this wasn't just about money, it was about making myself feel less guilty for buying it all in the first place. But the customers at the flea market told me a different story. Their story was 1 euro, sometimes 2. And spoiler alert, I walked away with a couple of €100 and a sunburn. This experience was a lesson for me. Take the carved Egyptian nightstand. I hauled it back from the trip. It had a story, it was unique. Nobody touched it at 20 euros. Nobody touched it at 10. And lowering the price felt like I was devouring my own story. It was an internal battle, but the longer I guarded that price, the heavier the table felt. It was a physical symbol of my stubborn attachment. So I finally let it go for 2 euros and a croissant, and the moment it was gone, my back hurt less. The physical weight was gone, but the mental weight, the emotional resistance, that was the real burden. So why do we cling so fiercely to our stuff? Psychologists call it the Endowment Effect, and that is simply owning something makes us believe it's more valuable. It's a quirk of human nature. Our brain says it's mine, therefore it's precious. Add a memory to the object and the perceived price skyrockets in our mind. Because we aren't selling wood or any fabric, we are selling a fragment of our own story. But here's the cold and hard truth. Buyers pay for atoms, not for anecdotes. It's like buying a brand new car. The second you drive it off the lot, its value drops significantly. And also it's the same for a picture frame or a shirt. The moment you buy it, its real market value is just a fraction of the price. Buyers see a nightstand, not your Cairo adventure. They see its condition and its use, not your emotional attachment. Until you accept this gap, you guard your possessions like a dragon. You keep things that serve no purpose, trapped by the past. So, after that porcelain plate sold, I had my epiphany. Buyers, especially at flea markets, aren't looking for an investment. They are looking for a bargain. They are only willing to spend 1 or 2 euros. My precious items and their stories were competing with that simple, brutal reality. So I embraced it. I took my marker and started slashing prices. The 20 euro nightstand, 2 euros. The 10 euro sushi set, 1 euro. Everything. I changed the price of every single item on my blanket to either 1 or 2 euros. It was a painful but also liberating act of surrender to the market's logic. I was no longer selling my memories, I was just selling my stuff. And the moment the prices changed, everything changed. Suddenly, my stand sold like hotcakes. People were stopping by, picking things up, and handing me coins without a second thought. There was no more haggling, no more long stories about where an item came from. There was just the fast, satisfying exchange of goods for cash. It was a whirlwind. I hadn't just sold my possession, I had bought myself some freedom. Now, if you still want to get some cash, you have to know the terrain. Every flea market has its own personality. In some you need to arrive at dawn and prepare to haggle hard. Expect offers at a 1/3 of your price tag, it's a game. Other markets are maybe more trendier, better for clothes or vintage finds. And some are also about moving volume fast. Price low, smile, and sell quickly. You have to know the rules of the market you're in. My survival kit was simple. A blanket, a marker for price changes, a fanny pack full of coins, and a coffee. Always coffee. If this idea of radical 1 euro pricing is already making you look at your clutter differently, please hit that like button. It helps get this message to another overstuffed apartment. And if you want to see if I can survive with only 30 items, definitely subscribe. Comment below with the object you're most scared to price at 1 euro. We can panic together. But you know what kills hesitation? A deadline. For me, it was that flight to Spain. Suddenly, all the maybe one day excuses evaporated. This is crucial because especially if you have the time and space, you fall into a trap. You won't sell those items for a price people are willing to pay. You try to challenge them to pay off your guilt, the guilt of having spent so much money, of no longer wanting an item, or of some emotional attachment. But let me tell you something, that is a trap, because whatever you want to get rid of is a burden to you. Do yourself a favor and let it go, even if it's for a lower price. The buyer doesn't have to pay for your guilt. Let them just pay for your used object. Give yourself a date. Make it real. This isn't about creating stress. It's about channeling pressure into action. The deadline becomes your lifeline. It forces you to confront each item, make a decision, and act. Your future self, living in a lighter, freer space, is already thanking you. So you might be thinking now that I wasn't a good negotiator, that people got my stuff too cheap, or that I lost out. No. Every time I pictured the storage space no longer occupied, I felt a surge of joy. It wasn't a loss, it was a gain. Letting go is not a loss. It's compound interest on your peace of mind. And the value of that free space far outweighs the monetary loss. So, that €1 coin is small, but it's symbolically heavy enough to crack an illusion. The illusion that our identity lives in our merchandise. It doesn't. Go to flea market, watch what people actually pay. You start seeing that endowment effect everywhere. It's the unread books, the tangled cables, the gift you kept out of obligation. Accept the market's price. Be honest about any object's true worth to a stranger. If you need to, snap a photo to keep the memory. And then bravely release the object, your shelves will breathe, your mind will clear, and your memories will return to the only place they belong, inside you, not in your hallway. This experience will also change how you shop forever. You start asking yourself before every purchase, will this eventually one day become a €1 item on a flea market blanket? So, take that thing you're clutching, make a decision, accept the €1 or find your freedom. Trust me, freedom is priceless.